This is the Lichtman Live Post Show, the greatest post show that's ever existed on the face of planet Earth. Thank you all for being here. Just before I went live on this show, one of my lights went out. So if I look a little strangely lit, I've been trying to turn it back on, and it's not working, folks. Not working at all. We are live, Kalidi. Thank God you're here, Axel, to be honest. Hello, Nightwolf, aka Ferocia. Nightwolf is still kind of my preference, to be honest with you, but Ferocia is fine. Hello, Kyle Fishman. Susie Garcia. It's showtime, Tony. Is your hair light brown or dark? Quick secret, I haven't shared this. I dyed my hair a couple months ago, so it's got some like blondish tinge to it actually right now. Usually it's pretty solidly brown, but now it's got a little bit of a blondish hue to it. The lighting is really surprising me. I know it's like my main light. I've got a light here and a light over here, and then I have this light to sort of fill the face, and it's just not turning on. So I probably look a little scary. I apologize. Looks good, says Susie Garcia. Thank you. Hello, Dennis. Your hair color is pretty. Thanks. Yeah, it's definitely got some blonde influence. Monica Hill in the house. Bullshitter is the correct term for Trump. I feel like that's too silly. What's up, Diego? There's an echo? Why didn't nobody tell me? Hopefully that fixed it. I like that color, Sam. Easily look in your 20s. Oh, okay. I'll take that. Oh, people said that they don't hear an echo. Well, I unplugged and replugged. Either way. Man, this lighting is really bad. It makes me look like this side of my face is in the dark. It's a bit blown out. Oh, the mic is blown out. Okay. Oh, I was trying to turn the dial on this, and I was turning the wrong dial, so that was probably why it wasn't working. Hopefully that's better. You like my hair length? Yeah, it's getting pretty long. I'm definitely getting to the point where I probably should cut it. Yeah, I was adjusting the volume. I was looking at the meter on OBS. I was like, it's not going down. It's because I was using the wrong input. Hello to Tupac M, my Fortnite companion. I feel like I'm a lot better at Fortnite than when I used to play with Tupac M. When was that? Was that this summer or was that this fall? I can't remember. Tupac says, I have missed the after shows. Well, I'm glad. Hey, here we are. What are the post shows about? Nothing. Just a place to chill and chat about whatever's on your mind. Where's your dog? Laying down right here. It's sort of like, the Seinfeld of streaming. Do I play Fortnite on PlayStation? I have a code for stuff I'm not going to use. I play it on PC with an Xbox controller. Your dad hates Trump with a passion. At times it gets funny, like an episode of Seinfeld. He really does. He really does hate Trump with a passion. Now, he's able to back up that hate with logic and facts, but there's no doubt he does not like the guy. 3 movies coming out to see. Project Hail Mary in March, the Mandalorian movie, and Grogu movie in May. And the new Spielberg disclosure day in June. I haven't really been up on movies lately. I mean, it's sort of a downtime for movies, generally speaking, but it would be so funny if the Dems flipped the Georgia 14th district seat in April. Would be funny. I wouldn't count on it, though. I mean, if you're going to be a hater, do it with facts and logic. Good point. Bam Adebayo puts up the second most points in a game in NBA history. Bam Adebayo scored 83 points. Oh my God. Holy moly. I had him on my fantasy basketball team and I traded him away. I will tell my dad that on your behalf, Axel, if I remember. I can't guarantee I'll remember, but if I do remember, I'll try. Why won't this light turn on? All right. Tis what it is, folks. Oh yeah, the Odyssey. Definitely been following that one. Oh, Elliot Page is in it. I didn't realize that. That's cool. How's Marge's Senate race? It's going to a runoff between one Democrat and one Republican. But the issue is the majority of the vote. There was a bunch of... I didn't even realize how many candidates were in that. Let me see. Georgia. Election results. There were so many candidates in this race. I mean, look at all these. Oh, look at all these people in the race. The issue is that second, third, fourth, fifth are all Republicans. Some of the majority of the votes will probably stick with the Republicans there. I mean, I guess you never know, but you know, even if Clayton Fuller gets this 11%, Sean Harris is kind of screwed, you know. I want to watch your dad and James Carville sit down and have a podcast. I don't think my dad likes James Carville that much. But I agree. I think that would be interesting. But I've heard my dad talk ish about him in private. Nothing bad, just that, like, I don't know. Not that James Carville is a bad person, I'm saying. Is the election happening tonight? It already happened. It's going to a runoff between these two candidates, Sean Harris and Clayton Fuller. Mark Elias and your dad, your team up? That sounds like a better idea, honestly. Khalid's about to lead a revolution. All right, Khalid, let's see what you got, brother. You want a new Dem slogan other than TNT? No, I think we're riding with TNT. Ferocia says, I feel like James Carville is too old school and disrespectful to the younger, more progressive voters. I hear that for sure. Hype Williams says, I was there when Kobe scored 81. That's amazing. Your dad on Midas Touch would be amazing. There was a point where we were going to sign with Midas Touch before the election, but it just sort of never worked out. They should have him back on, though. I feel like. Sam, are you still a Ravens fan? Did you hear about Max Crosby? I am still a Ravens fan. I heard that, yeah, we traded for him, and then something in his physical came up, and now we're not trading for him. That's what I've heard. I heard something about fentanyl, but maybe that was a troll. Diego says James Carville is a political hack who got it right once 30 plus years ago and is out of touch with anyone born after 1975. I feel like that's similar to what my dad thinks about him, to be honest. Yeah, I kind of like his vibes too. James Carville, that is. I don't have a giant beef with him, but he initially said we should do nothing about the regime. What regime? Carville is washed. Who's gonna win Georgia 14? Oh, Susie K. Susie K. Hey. Everybody loves Susie K now. Probably this guy, Clayton Fuller. Just the math is on his side. Even if, he gets, half of these guys' numbers, he'll probably win. There's just not enough Dem votes in this district to pull Sean Harris ahead. Suzanne, you missed the show. No. You have a feeling that he will not? Just a feeling? You have a feeling that Clayton Fuller is not going to win? I don't know. The math ain't mathin'. Yes, welcome Suzanne AP. Carville said he would purposely let Trump destroy the country so Dems have a better chance in the midterms? That's crazy. Fuller is massive favorite on Kalshi in runoff. Yeah. Okay, I remember, Susie, that you said that Harris is going to win. I remember. But, I don't know, man. Don't know. Feels unlikely. Let's see. I'm going to look up Kalshi. Yeah, he's got a 96% chance to win. That's the Republican Clayton Fuller. Who's Nikki Lama? At one point, they had a better chance to win than Sean Harris. Nikki Lama, this guy. He only got 1.2% of the vote. Sam Ferosha asked for a poll between them and I a few months ago. So what would the poll be? Who do you want to be your future president? Colidi or Ferosha? Did you hear Graham Planter's latest? Heard today he responded well something today. I don't know who Graham Planter is. Hello, Spencer. Nice to see you. Colidi would cry if I beat him. Yeah. How is Republican still big favorite to win the 28 presidential election? Wild. What is that on right now? Did they even have, they must have that up, right? Future president. I mean, it's a 1% difference between Vance and Newsom. But I see what you're saying. Like, it is going pretty bad. I mean, if you look at it, Vance is slowly slipping. Gavin is rising. Electoral College makes it likely red election, plus there's no clear Dem opposition. It's too early to take odds on it. Yeah, I mean, but this is when you really should be taking, like, if you're gonna, which I don't necessarily recommend, but if you're gonna use a poly market, you got to do it way ahead of time because the odds are just going to get too stacked against you the more you wait. Check party winner. Like you mean Republican Party winner? Marco Rubio is surging, man. Little Ron DeSantis, man. Philip H. says Dems will 100% win. I'm leaning in that direction. But I also was convinced that Kamala Harris was going to win, so... You know... How long will the government shutdown last? There's not really a government shutdown. There's a pause in DHS spending. I saw some headline that said that there was like a nuclear bomb bet Kalshi market, and they had to remove it. Tallarico is being criticized for saying he likes trans people. That's pretty sad. I feel like just saying, hey, I like and respect trans people. It's like, how dare you? It's like, really? Really? We're going to be that hateful? Republicans' chances to keep the Senate is decreasing on Kalshi. Interesting. Patrick says, Kalshi needs to go away. They have making bets on the Iran war. People are betting on actual warfare, and it's messed up. Yeah, that also gives me a weird feeling in my tummy. How accurate is Kalshi? I would say the closer you get to the date of said event, it's pretty damn accurate. Like this Georgia 14 winner, I would say Clayton Fuller's, I think he's got a 95% chance to win or higher. But when you're looking at stuff like this, that's this far out, it's not that accurate. But I don't know that for sure. But from my sort of observations, the closer you get to the event, the more accurate it is. Maybe that's obvious. I don't know. They got John Ossoff as the third most likely to win the Dem nomination for president. Interesting. I would say the thing with Kalshi and these prediction markets is, especially with elections and stuff, if you're watching CNN or ABC News, right, they're going to be very conservative about calling races. And you can usually go on Kalshi and be like, oh, this is over. This guy's got a 99% chance to win, it's over. Or a 98% chance to win, it's over. Philip says, I don't think we've seen the Dem candidate that will win in 28. What do you mean by we haven't seen them? I think we've seen them. Now, whether they're top 10 on this Kalshi list, that I'm not sure about. Zohran Mamdani has a 2% chance. How about a Shapiro Newsom ticket? Convince Newsom to take the VP. That'll only happen if Shapiro beats him for the nom. I don't think Gavin's going to bow down that easily. Ferocious says, I wouldn't be surprised if Democrats and DNC push Newsom onto us. Yeah, I wouldn't be that surprised by that either. Mamdani was not born in the U.S., but was he a U.S. citizen? Or no? Maybe he wasn't. Because there are some people who weren't born in the U.S. but can still run for president because they were U.S. citizens at the time of birth, but maybe he wasn't. He's got a better chance than Amy Klobuchar, apparently, according to Kalshi. Remember Obama, he was born out of nowhere in the same type of environment, lots of fuel for someone to catch fire. No, I agree with you. I totally agree with that. That we could very easily see somebody catch fire. But I don't think it's going to be... Maybe it will be a complete unknown. Jamie Dimon is on this list. LeBron James. Stephen A. Smith has a 1% chance to be our next president, according to Kalshi. I didn't see a Senate one. Which party will win the U.S. Senate? Here we go. Oh, it's getting close. It was 70-30 this spring and summer. Well, back a year ago, it was 81-19. Not convinced person should have ever run for president. Rules can change to let Mamdani run. Oh, no convicted person should have run for president. I don't know why I read that wrong. I don't think they're going to change the rules to make non-U.S. born people allowed to be president. I don't see that happening. Colidi says it'll be like Obama or more historically accurate William Jennings Bryan because we are currently living at the tail end of the second Gilded Age, which will usher in the second progressive era. Colidi's a smart guy. Republicans don't wait for permission, neither should Dems. What do you mean? What do you mean by that explicitly? Mystic Luna is leaving. No. We don't want you to leave, Mystic Luna. Mamdani can still run for other offices outside of president. That is correct. I believe you can run for any public office except for president if you're born outside of the U.S. and not born a citizen. Joe Rule says, I love when MSNBC and CNN say Crockett is pulling ahead of Tallarico a day before the election on Kalshi. Tallarico has 88% chance of winning. Yeah. For elections and stuff, I would trust Kalshi more than talking heads on cable news. Alexander Place says, my prediction is that Trump will be out of office in 2027. How so exactly? It could be a populist tsunami heading into 26 and 28. It could be, but someone has to seize that populist movement. I don't think there's anybody really that can lead a massive populist tsunami right now, that is. Michael Gonzalez says, Bashir is my guess for the Dem nominee. Very popular from a Dem governor from a red state. Maybe. I don't know. He's never done much for me personally, but maybe. I don't know a ton about him, but any necessary conversation pod fans here? Good look at MAGA boomer cult craziness IRL. I don't know what that is. I don't know what necessary conversation pod is. So Mamdani can be VP? I don't know. That's a good question, Kenny. Rose says, am I dreaming? There's no way the post show's back. I'm here, and I'm doing a post show. That much I can tell you for sure. Yeah, I agree, Ferocious. We're going to have to wait to see how Mamdani's mayorship goes. But I don't know. So far, it feels like it's going pretty well. Yeah, Sam, you met Andy Bashir on Discord calls. Oh yeah, there was somebody named Andy Bashir on the Discord calls. Did you notice the stock market has stalled? I did. I did notice that. Mamdani is receiving backlash from the black community and Democrats already. Oh, I haven't noticed that. Maybe that's true. Spencer says, I think VP has to qualify to be president, so no for Mamdani. Same reason Trump can't run for VP, then Vance resigns. Right. But what if the Speaker of the House is, the chances of this happening are so low. I don't think it's ever happened. But if the Speaker of the House, you can be in Congress and not have been born in the U.S. What if it goes all the way to the Speaker of the House and they weren't born in the U.S.? They just skip them? Did you know that the creator of Family Guy has no wife or children? Not explicitly. Seth MacFarlane. Random fact to bring up, but okay. Oh, Graham Planter is the guy who's running for Senate in Maine. You're leaning towards him as future president? Wow. Hey, anything could happen, I guess, at this point, right? I mean, Trump became president twice. Like, nobody thought that was going to happen. Liddy says, still have my bets on AOC in 28. Well, I think she's third. She's third on the Dem nomination list on Kalshi. No, she's second. She's not even a dark horse. Dark Pepsi says, I cannot believe that everything out there is gambled on. Literally everything is now gambled on. Literally everything. I mean, these betting markets made it so. Ferocious says, I wasn't surprised by Trump's win in 24, to be honest. I was. Susie K says, AOC doesn't stand a chance in my opinion. I wouldn't go that far. All corporate Dems got to be voted out. They're basically MAGA light working for same billionaires. I don't know. I agree with you. Obviously, I'm not a fan of corporate Dems. I don't know if I'd call them MAGA light. That feels a little strong. You were generally shocked Trump won, Sam? Yeah, I was. I was generally shocked. I just really didn't think America was going to reelect that man. After January 6th, after being a convicted felon, I just didn't think it was going to happen. Where is Kamala Harris on this Kalshi list? That's a good question. Oh, she's 1, 2, 3, 4. She's 5th. Spencer says, I remember watching the 24 coverage with you guys. Yeah. Our 24 coverage went viral because we went from like optimistic to crushed. Everybody was trolling us. Philip H says, I wasn't shocked because I realized how dumb rule America. I'm not going to even read that. Ferocious says, I was here for your election night show. Yeah, that was a crazy show, man. Crazy show. I think that was my first time ever getting on CNN was when Laura Coates played a clip of that night of our coverage. First time I ever, I think the first time I ever made it on cable news. Susie K says, I was worried about your dad hate unkindness. Yeah, my dad got it after that election. I mean, I don't know if his reputation has even really recovered since then. Patrick Murray says, that was a tough episode to watch, the 24 election night. I know. God. Hey, we can laugh about it now, sort of, except that Trump is president. Your poor dad, laugh out loud. Yeah. I don't know if there's anybody in the political talk space that just from that election result got more of a ding on their public persona, which is annoying because he's also the only one that's, willing to stick his neck out there and actually make a solid prediction, where you have most talking heads say 50 things over 50 days, but because they operate like these talking heads that can wish-wash any direction at any time, they're never held accountable, but my dad was, unfortunately. Philip H says, once they kicked Biden out, I knew they were in trouble. I had a similar reaction initially, and then I sort of got caught up in like the Kamala energy momentum train, and people are like, wow, she's really getting a lot of momentum and she's getting a lot of crowds, and I sort of fell for that. I was like, yeah, she is. Unfortunately, the keys say that none of that matters, but I still fell for it. I appreciate that free throw guy. He says, I respect the hell out of your pops. You can't get them all right. Yeah, so do I. Sam, my understanding of Allan's first point in the post-election analysis is that turning your back on your sitting president will complicate your electoral chances. Yeah, no doubt. And you can't deny my dad was very clear when they were pushing Biden out that was a mistake. And I feel like most people are either just keeping quiet about it or actively cheering on, pushing him out. I think your dog wants to leave the room. Oh, I think he's back in his bed. He's all right. He was just listening, I think, to people outside the door. How's the job search? I got a job. Actually, I signed my offer letter today. So, huzzah. Fine. It took me a year. It was rough, I have to say, but hey, you got to persevere. You got to keep going. Tell us, spill the tea. Thank you. I'm not going to tell the details of where. It's also, so I was working for the FAA. It's also in aviation, just in a private company. And I start at the end of the month. So looking forward to having a stable income and healthcare again. So that's all good news. Thank you all for the congrats. Initially I thought I was really gonna, make YouTube my full-time job, and it just didn't quite work out like that. So you never know, life ebbs and flows, and even though I thought I was going to make YouTube maybe try to do YouTube full time, I was still looking the whole time, even early on. Yeah, I'm just glad to have, normal structured job with dental and health, it's even harder than I thought to really support yourself off of YouTube alone. Nice. I guess we can kiss the post show goodbye. I don't know. I haven't made a decision on that. Are you excited for this new job? Yeah, definitely. YouTube doesn't help much with channels when it comes to promoting content or new channels. I wasn't even thinking about, I was thinking about building my dad's channel and then using that as sort of a base layer, then maybe building my own channel. But I don't know. Also, the more I did YouTube on my own channel, I'm just like, I'm not sure if I want to be a YouTuber, and I'm not sure if I want to be a live streamer. So again, these are just all things that you kind of just have to stumble through and figure out. So Vladimir says, I think the keys were still right in 24, but it's just your dad called the 2 economy keys wrong. Yeah, I've seen that claim a lot too, is that the keys were right, my dad just called them wrong. Who knows? I think regardless, the keys are still a great way to look at and understand politics. and probably more foundational than 98% of what talking heads say on YouTube or cable news. Or YouTube seems to be better for a fun hobby. Yeah, that's sort of how I'm seeing it. It's just sort of like a fun hobby for me personally. Obviously, my dad's channel is more structured and. Kalidi says, adding on to what I said previously, Sam, it wasn't that Biden's dropping out was an automatic loss for Dems, but that keeping him under the bus hurt their chances. I see what you're saying. I agree. President Ferocia says, I also feel Biden's funding of Israel/Gaza war is what caused many independents, libertarians, and even some Democrats to turn on Biden-Harris and not vote for Trump. I can understand if the Israel-Gaza war caused you not to vote. I can't understand how it caused you to not vote for Biden-Harris and switch to Trump. That I can't understand. I mean, the Middle East is more unstable now than it has been in 20 years. And Trump is more pro-Bibi than probably any politician in recent memory. And there are probably some senators and weird congressmen who are really pro-Bibi too, but you get my point. Lowell says, I just Googled, can Zohran Mamdani run for president? And the answer was no. There you go. There you go. Joe Rule says, Democrats need to stop about Trump and move on. Not smart campaign long term. Joe, I see what you're saying, and I think I've said that in the past too, that like this constant, just like all your strategy is just like anti-Trump. I think that's hurt Democrats in 2016 and 2024. Now I'm actually kind of changing. Now I'm like, this dude is doing so horrifically that, I mean, you don't even really have to try hard now. He's just essentially handing the Dems a gift on a platter at this point. Ferocia says, people I know that voted for Trump who were progressive said they felt Biden and Dems were pro-war and Trump ran on ending endless wars. Yeah, but I think that's a fundamental misunderstanding. I mean, the idea that Biden and Democrats are pro-war. What war did Biden start? In fact, he ended the Afghanistan war. What, in the last, 25 years, what war have Democrats started? Zero? So, I mean, if that's your logic, I don't understand it. But Trump will be gone soon. Yeah, but he ain't gone yet. Could Zohran Mamdani run for New York governor? Yes. I think you can run for any public office, senator, House member, governor, and not be born in America. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California. He was born in Austria. Philip H. says, fun fact, no war has been started in the last 2 centuries from a Democrat. See, that's my point. It's like, if you're a progressive and you're going to the poll and you're like, I'm not voting for Biden Harris because they're pro-war, it's like, huh? That's sort of completely detached from reality. Now, I understand the criticism of the war in Gaza, but again, I don't think Trump is a better alternative. Democrats continue to fund war. That's a fair point. Philip H says, we didn't start the war in Gaza. That's true. I hear that. I mean, obviously it was a tough issue. You know, I agree with you that Harris nor Biden started the war in Gaza. You know, the fact of the matter is the U.S. is very pro-Israel and has been supporting Israel for decades. And it's just Biden and Harris just kind of found themselves in the American machine that supports Israel, and that came back to bite them. The only way they could have gotten out of that mess is to have, I don't even know actually, you know, cut funding, but they couldn't even do that because Republicans wouldn't do that. They were in a lose-lose situation. And, you know, when you've got Biden saying, I support Israel publicly, again, to sort of save face in this American contest of supporting Israel, while there's like massive death and destruction happening in Gaza, it's like, bro, that's not going to work out well for you. Again, I don't understand the logic of, so the solution is Trump, but I understand the criticism, and they were just kind of screwed on that. Kev says anyone was better than the dude who is now going to war every Friday. Exactly. Sam, Biden had more Rust Belt appeal than Harris in 24. The polls were showing her honeymoon period before they replaced him. I agree with you. I think I've said this before, that throwing Biden on the bus and putting in Harris, you just threw away massive amounts of white voters, or they voted for Trump. They either didn't show up or they voted for Trump. Beth says, I always say you can support Israel without supporting Netanyahu. Yeah, I hear that, but it just was an impossible line for them to toe, I feel like, in that moment. And that issue was just so emotionally charged. You know, they were just kind of fucked. People's pocketbooks and not wanting to keep funding wars isn't disinformation. Yeah, but it's bad information, or like not fully researched or fledged out information. Like if you think the solution to our pocketbooks and wars is Trump, I feel like that's just a folly. A third option might have been better, but yeah, I don't know. It was, I mean, by the time the wheels were moving on getting Biden out, it was too late. Let's not forget that either. It was just too late. Okay, maybe if you had done that in year 2 of the Biden presidency, been like, I'm not running, you know, maybe it could have worked out. But it was the summer before the fall of the election. Like, it was just too late. Netanyahu recently said he's wanted to go to war with Iran for 40 years. He finally found someone he could blackmail. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but I kind of agree with you. How good would a socialist appeal to the Rust Belt? I think fairly well. I think Bernie Sanders does really well, and when he's been in the primaries, he's done well in the Rust Belt. How is it bad when people suffered under Biden? They wanted change. I just see it from the other perspective. I get that. I get that people were not happy with inflation under Biden and they wanted to change. I understand that. Bro, this is Sam. I'm of California governor's race. I don't know what you're running for. California governor? Is that what you mean? Yeah, Democratic Socialists are gaining a lot of popularity. I mean, look at Mamdani. He's one of the biggest political figures in America right now. But remember, you can't ignore the Elon billionaire disinformation machine. That's true. Whoever the next president is, I just hope they are half the age of Biden and Trump. I feel that, Michael Gonzalez. What's your favorite Disney and Pixar movie? Toy Story, Pixar, Disney, Lion King. Talk about blackmail. Have you heard Lindsey Graham lately? What does Trump and none you have on that babbling idiot? I think he's just I don't know if they have anything on them. I think he's just Lindsey Graham. That's just what he does. I don't know. He'll set his sails in whatever direction he feels like is best for him. I don't know. Will Mark Cuban run? I doubt it. Hello, Mark Sav. Whatever happened to the Austrian painter who was always in my chat? I can't remember his name now. Is that Mark Sav? Or am I tripping? I can't remember his name. I think at one point he did switch his username. If anybody in the chat remembers, tell me. And this guy who used to be good at GeoGuessr. That's, I remember that guy. That's Wanderer. He'll pop in still if I go live on GeoGuessr. You watching WBC tournament? I don't know what that is. Boxing? Fried Jemmy is still here. Fried Jemmy's been here for a long time. Not Wanderer? He's in our team? I'm not sure who you're talking about. Oh, World Baseball Classic. No, I don't really watch much baseball. Does Jesse Ventura have a chance at Minnesota governor? I don't think so. Probably not. I think his political career is sort of fizzled out at this point. Alexander Play says, my prediction for the House is Democrats get 243 seats and Republicans get 193. Okay. Someone write that down. We'll come back and check if Alexander was right. Now that 24 is in the rearview mirror, should the keys reflect general feelings of the state of the country rather than objective reality? No, I just think it needs a better sense of objective reality. I think maybe some of the economic metrics it uses are a little bit outdated. And things like GDP are not. I saw some fact that said like GDP used to affect like 80% of all households. Right now it affects like 5%. So it's not as good as a metric as it used to be. Did the Dems have a shot at the Senate? They have a shot. I don't know how likely it is, but they have a shot. Sam Lichtman, 2028, a new way forward, truth not tyranny. Wow. You think boots in the ground coming soon in Iran? That's a tough one. Like I said during Lichtman Live, I'm getting the vibe that Trump wants out. He does not want to keep dealing with this war in Iran. But if it continues, you know, if they don't get out within the next couple of weeks, I could see it, boots on the ground. Sam could either be my vice president or I would be his. Wow. I don't think I have much of a passion for a future career in politics, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. You know. Sam, if your dad ran for president in 28, you should appoint your dad president pro tem of the Senate. I don't know what you're saying. Played any new games lately? I've been playing mostly Fortnite and Marvel Rivals. Who do you think is the most incompetent person in the Trump administration? That's a tough one. Dude, that's a tough one. I would say the top three are Patel, RFK Jr., and Hegseth. Because those guys literally, like, at least Pam Bondi is a lawyer, you know? Like, at least Kristi Noem was a governor of a state, so had to deal with a lot of sort of, like, security issues, and although she was bad at it, but, you know, like, RFK Jr. Literally has no degree or background or scientific research. Hegseth was in the army, but was like pretty much a failed soldier. And Kash Patel was a podcaster before he became head of the FBI. So one of those three. Would you ever date someone that's MAGA? It's hard to say. I don't want to say yes or no. I mean, like, I feel like it would be tough, and there would have to be some, you know, like, we'd have to agree on just like basic human things, you know, which I feel like a lot of MAGA folks don't. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm being too harsh about that, but Mark Wayne Mullen will be worse than no, but at least he was a senator. Like, at least he was elected by the American people. Like, none of those three guys have ever won any public office. Hello, Dustin. All right, let's do a poll. Who's the most incompetent cabinet member? Who's the most incompetent cabinet member? I feel like it's got to be one of those three, unless I'm forgetting somebody. Kash Patel, Pete Hegseth, RFK Jr. I'd be interested to see y'all's thoughts. Y'all. And the other thing about those three roles is they're just like, they're such important roles. Like, I don't know who the head of the Department of the Interior is, you know, they might be incompetent too. I don't even know, but yeah, but at least Howard Lutnick like has some finance experience. Ferocious says, I somewhat support the Health Secretary RFK Jr. I voted for Hegseth as worst. I mean, look, not everything that RFK Jr. is doing I hate, right? Like, I don't think it's bad to get processed foods out of our diets. I don't think it's going to hurt anybody to get food dyes out of our diet. But, like, the stuff that he's bad on, he's really bad on. Oh, Doug Berman is the Department of Interior. That's a difficult poll. That's what I'm saying. It is sort of difficult. Patel isn't really doing any harm. I don't know about that. I feel like he's done quite a bit of harm. RFK is hurting Americans with his stupid incompetence. Keg's breath is hurting the rest of the world. I hear what you're saying. I don't think it's fair to say that he isn't doing any harm. I would say maybe he's probably doing like you're saying less harm than RFK Jr. and Hegseth maybe. Add all the above. No, you gotta pick. You gotta make a choice. Hegseth is winning right now, 48%. RFK Jr. at 29. Patel at 23. I could get behind that. Ferocious says, I somewhat agree with RFK Jr. on vaccines. But there's, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. Oh, Tulsi. Yeah, I forgot about Tulsi. Shit, she could have been the fourth option. Can I have more guidelines on choosing? No more guidelines. Trump should be in the poll. That's a funny one. Stephen Miller is crazy, but he's not in the cabinet. He's a White House advisor. Patel's out partying and not doing his job. Call me using taxpayer money to travel around the world and does absolutely nothing to protect us, just covering up everything for Trump. Yeah. I feel like he's done some pretty, like he's didn't he recently just like fire all the Iranian experts from the FBI? Like that's pretty damaging, I feel like. Yeah, Brasmus says the entire FBI was gutted. Patel is not solely responsible for that department's failure. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying that came from the tippity top. Could have added Bondi too. I don't know. As much as I don't like Bondi, I wouldn't call her necessarily incompetent. Beth says Bondi should be on there. All right, maybe I'm wrong. What do you think about abolishing social classes? I don't think America really has. I mean, obviously we have social classes, but I don't know what you mean by abolish them. There's no formal law about social classes in America. Click Dan Ray says, chose Patel because he has the least experience. At least RFK was around politics and has served some time in the military. I get that. Yeah, he's probably the least qualified of all of them. He was literally a podcast, like a pundit. Sam, I didn't know your dad was such an avid TikTok user. Hundreds of thousands of likes. We just post the same videos we post on YouTube. The shorts we post on YouTube, we post there. Why is the word sophistry not mainstream? I don't know what you're talking about, dog. How are gas prices by you? They went down. Last time I filled up, they weren't crazy. I haven't checked them within the last week, probably. Since the real chaos started. Alexander Play says, I believe that Kansas or Utah will be a swing state by 2030 or 2040 due to Democrats moving to the Kansas City metro area and Salt Lake metro area. Alexander Plays has some hot takes on here. I don't know. Kansas and Utah being swing states. I don't know, man. I don't know how much you've read into the Warner Brother Paramount merger, but how likely do you think this will be approved? I mean, I've been following it pretty closely. I haven't followed it very closely since it switched back to Paramount. I don't know. I don't know what the process is of it getting approved is exactly. I think if Trump has a hand in it, it will get approved. Click Dan Ray says, I think we're at $80 per barrel of oil. I think France opened reserves. It will probably be a short spike down if Trump does exit the war. Yeah, I think it got as high as 120, right? This regime will not deny the formation of monopolies. All they have to do is bribe him. Good point. They said if it's approved, they're shutting down HBO Max. I'm not surprised by that. I'm assuming Paramount Plus will just intake all of that content. Sam, you should do some research about Cuba's healthcare system. Because they have universal healthcare, or why should I do that? Michael Gonzalez says the one state that is usually red I could see going blue in the midterms or 28 is Iowa. I hear that. Laptop prices are going up, Sean. Who told you that? How do you know? What's the poll at? Hexeth is at 45%. RFK Jr. at 29%. Cash Patel at 26%. I thought Cash Patel was going to float to the bottom, but it's pretty close to RFK Jr. How would you feel if West Virginia went blue in 28 out of the blue? It's not happening. I mean, I feel like if any state that should go blue, it should be West Virginia, but it ain't happening. All right, folks. I think with that, I am signing off for the evening. I'm starting to get bleary-eyed. But I appreciate you all being here for the post show. Will there be a post show on Thursday? I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned and find out. Thank you, folks.